I've never liked silence. When you live alone, the quiet turns into something else, something that listens back. My apartment sits at the edge of a small town in northern Washington. Behind the complex is nothing but forest, dense evergreens that swallow light. I moved here for the cheap rent and the idea of peace after college. For the first few weeks, it was perfect. Then the calls started. The first one came on a Wednesday night just after 11. I was editing photos on my laptop when my phone lit up with a number I didn't recognize. No name, just a long string of digits that looked wrong, almost too long to be real. I hesitated, then swiped to answer. Hello? Static. A faint hiss like wind moving through trees. Then the line clicked dead. I shrugged it off. Wrong number, maybe. But when I set the phone down, the silence of the apartment felt heavier. I left the TV on after that, just for background noise. The second call came 2 nights later. I was half asleep, the kind of drowsy where you're not sure if you dreamed the sound. The phone buzzed once, stopped, then buzzed again, same number. This time I answered on the first ring. Hello? At first, only the same static. Then under it, a sound that froze me. Faint breathing. Not fast or panicked. Steady. Patient. Like someone listening. Who is this? I asked. The breathing paused. Then a whisper, too quiet to understand. Say that again? Nothing. The line died. I turned on every light in the apartment, checked the locks. Nothing unusual. Still, I barely slept that night. In the morning, I convinced myself it was just some prank. Maybe a wrong number recording glitch. I blocked the number, but blocking it didn't stop the unease. Whenever I looked out the window toward the forest, I felt as if the trees were leaning closer. The third call came the next weekend. I was cooking dinner, music playing low, when my phone buzzed again. Different number this time, local area code. I sighed and answered. Hello? A man's voice, calm, polite. Is this 203 Pine Ridge Apartments, Unit 3B? I hesitated. Yeah. Who's calling? This is maintenance. We had a report about noise coming from your unit. Are you home alone? Yeah. Why? He paused for a beat that stretched too long. If you hear knocking tonight, don't open the door. My stomach tightened. What are you talking about? Is something wrong? Static crackled through the line, then silence. The call ended. I immediately called back, but the number didn't exist. For the rest of the night, I kept the chain lock on and tried to distract myself with a movie. Around midnight, right when the credits started to roll, someone knocked at my door. 3 slow, deliberate knocks. I didn't move. The peephole showed only the empty hallway. Didn't sleep again. Call 4 happened a few days later, during a thunderstorm. The power flickered, and the woods outside were just a black mass behind sheets of rain. I'd been reading, trying not to think about the earlier calls, when my phone lit up with an unknown number again. I almost ignored it, but something in me wanted answers. Hello? I said. The voice that replied was a woman's. Soft, distant, like she was calling from far away. You shouldn't be there, she said. Who is this? You live alone, right? My throat went dry. Yes, you're not alone. Before I could speak, the line erupted with noise. Heavy distortion, like dozens of overlapping voices whispering at once. The call cut out. The lights flickered off a moment later, and the apartment went dark except for the storm flashing outside. I stood there in the glow of my phone screen, heart pounding. I told myself to get a grip, to call someone, anyone. But who do you call for something that doesn't make sense? I texted a friend, left the TV on static just for noise, and waited out the storm. The next morning, I went to the front office to ask if anyone from maintenance had called me. The manager checked her list. No work orders, no employees making calls that night. As I left, she said something that made my stomach twist. You're in 3B, right? Funny, no one's lived there for years before you. The previous tenant moved out after some strange issues. I asked what kind of issues. She just shook her head. She kept getting phone calls from disconnected numbers. By the time the 5th call came, I was already planning to move. It was a Friday, a clear night for once. I'd packed half my stuff into boxes. The phone sat on the counter, silent for nearly a week, and I almost believed it was over. Then, at 12:17 a.m., it rang. The number was blank this time. No digits, just incoming call. My finger hovered above the screen. I told myself not to answer, and then I did. Hello? At first, nothing but the faint hum of an open line. Then a man's voice, low and familiar. You move the boxes. I froze. It was my own voice. Who is this? You shouldn't have ignored the first call, the voice said. Now they know you can hear them. The line cracked. The air in the apartment seemed to thicken. From outside came a faint ringing sound, like an old rotary phone echoing from the trees. I hung up, heart pounding, but before I could even breathe, the phone rang again. Same blank screen. I let it ring out. The moment it stopped, the sound continued. This time not from the phone, but from somewhere inside the apartment. A single, old-fashioned ring, muffled, as if coming from inside the walls. I don't remember making the decision to leave, only the blur of grabbing my keys and running into the hallway. Outside, the forest was silent, too silent. No wind, no insects. The rain-soaked path gleamed under the security light as I reached my car. When I looked back, every light in my apartment was on. I drove straight to a friend's place across town, slept on their couch, tried to laugh it off in the morning. But when I checked my phone, I saw something that made me cold all over. 5 voicemails, each labeled with timestamps matching the nights of the calls, each exactly 1 minute long. I listened to the first, just static, the second, breathing, the third, the man warning me not to open the door, the fourth, the woman saying I wasn't alone, the fifth. The fifth was only 4 words, whispered in my own voice. Why did you leave? I deleted them, changed my number, found another apartment 3 towns away, no forest in sight. For months, everything was normal. I started to believe it had all been stress, coincidence, imagination, amplified by loneliness. Then last week, a package showed up at my door. No return address. Inside was an old push-button phone, the kind from the 1990s. It wasn't plugged into anything, but as soon as I touched it, the red message light began to blink. 1 new voicemail. I still haven't played it.